Happy Monday, and welcome back to another Colourful Keto with Dori. We have an extra special guest today, and we're getting together with Christine Moore, aka Rebooting Your Nutrition, and we're going to talk about the Great Canadian Keto Conference today. I'm so excited. We get to hang out in like 5 sleeps. I think it's 5 sleeps now, so I'm super excited. Let's get her going live. Yay! It's a Monday. and I miscalculated times, so we're early. Hello.
Hey.
My lovely darling. Happy Monday.
How are you?
Do you know what? Let's start with, I got a little bit of a shock today. I think everybody knows who you are, so we'll skip the introduce yourself. Now, old news for you, because you've been dealing with this for a while. I woke up this morning to a post saying that Jimmy's channel was canceled, and I was like, what? Like, his whole YouTube channel, it's deleted, It's gone, you can't find it, it no longer exists.
Yep.
And
right before we went on a family vacation, I think it was the night before, Jimmy got several emails from people saying, where are your videos? We can't find them. And so Jimmy's like, well, maybe just it's a glitch. So he searched for his channel, some of his Jimmy Rants videos. And sure enough, they weren't there. He was able to find them, but it showed that his account at that point had been suspended and it was under review. Because supposedly he had content on his videos that was either spam, vulgar, or porn, whatever.
Well, pornography, sure. Like,
yeah, it was reported as that. So if an actual human being at YouTube would look at his videos, they would obviously see that there's no such thing in his account like that. And so we think that this was a group effort on some people's parts. Because Jimmy had gotten inundated with comments from vegans and other people, just Jimmy haters all around, that they were commenting on his YouTube videos. I mean, it just inundated a couple of weeks that led up to this. So we're thinking that it was a group of people that reported his account as being those things that I said before, and the idiots at YouTube
took it down.
Just deleted his account.
Now, I will tell you, I had kind of a false sense of security in that his channel makes them money. Like, let's be honest for 2 seconds. The ads, the videos, there's 15 years of videos, there's lots of views, millions of views. So I think in my own mind, I thought, well, as long as you're making a platform money, which I don't, by the way, and as long as you're making the money, they're not going to mess too much with what you're doing.
Yeah, well,
right.
It wasn't a lot of money. I mean, it was bringing in a little bit, but I mean, if you're talking about some other people, you know, that have millions and millions and millions of views, I mean, the amount of money that Jimmy was earning from it wasn't a lot. So, I mean, maybe that was some of it. Maybe because we were still in the process of building his channel up. Yeah. So, we're not going to let that discourage us. We're going to get our own platform and store our videos on our own platform. That way that they won't go anywhere. You know, we won't have to worry about idiots hacking into his account and getting, you know, or reporting his account when it's on our own platform. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
What else do you do when you're on someone's platform? You are at their mercy. They can do whatever you want, and legally it's their content. As soon as you put it out there, it belongs to them and not to you, and that's every platform. Facebook, Instagram.
And we've been hearing, you know, people say, well, you know, what about free speech? Well, free speech, it doesn't apply to a private company like that. They can choose whatever they want to do with the content, and we're subject to what they do with that content. You're absolutely right. So that's why we want to get our own platform. That way we are not concerned with somebody else, whether they are, don't agree with our messages. And unfortunately, today we live in a society where people get their panties in a wad, when they don't agree with you or when you don't agree with them, and we've forgotten how to act like adults.
Forgotten how to agree to disagree. Everybody has to be right, and not just a little bit right, but 100% right, which means if I'm right, you're 100% wrong. Therefore, you shouldn't be able to say what you want because it's wrong, and that's also not free speech. And unfortunately, free speech applies to the things we don't like. Lots of people say stuff I don't like. Lots of people, you say stuff all over the place that I don't like. I have this whole magical finger thing. I don't know if everybody has one or not. I feel like mine's special, but it's called a scroller. And I could just like...
You don't like it? Keep going.
I could just keep going. And I even myself, I find every now and then you feel that urge to be like, oh, I'm going to say something about that. And then I start typing something and I think, why am I wasting my energy? If I don't agree with them, I'm not going to change their mind. It's a waste of my energy. They can think whatever they want to think. They can do whatever they want to do. Oh, guess what? It's magic. I can just keep scrolling. And I will say, I don't understand why, but Jimmy receives more personal hate than I've ever seen. And on a personal note, as his wife, that has got to be incredibly unbearable for you. Like, unbearable to see people say horrible things about someone that you love. And you're like, but I wouldn't say that about your husband or your brother or your cousin or, your neighbor down the street that you've known. Why does everybody feel the need to attack like that? I don't know.
I don't know. They live miserable lives. They're unhappy with themselves. So attacking other people makes them feel better. They, can hide behind a computer screen. And I think this is how social media has changed society. It's a good way to connect with people, but it's also a good way to hide behind a computer screen and say something to somebody that you probably wouldn't say to their face. But we're seeing more and more of this happening where the effect of the social media effect, people in everyday life are now starting to get uglier and uglier. And it is hard. I mean, Mama Bear comes out when I see these comments, but I have gotten to the point where, I need to get to the point where I don't have a knee-jerk reaction and respond, because that just causes stress in my life, and that's what we're trying to deal with going away for 6 months, trying to reduce the stress, heal some things that have happened because of all this ugliness. So it's a process trying to not get angry over this stuff, because it's more about them than it is us.
And I think that's where I'd love to go with that, because I think in some varying degree, we all receive that. We all receive criticism that borders on hate. We receive comments that are strictly hate. I had somebody comment on one of my earliest videos and say, this is the worst video I've ever seen. It's not even edited. Literally delete your channel. And I was offended. And when I commented back, he said, wow, you're awfully snippy and rude. And I was like,
what were you?
I'm snippy and rude. So there is kind of a barrier. And I won't lie. When I first started this, I got my first little bit of hate right away. Immediately, like 3 days in, I was so upset, I cried for 3 days, and my fiance was like, maybe this isn't for you, like, honey, maybe you shouldn't do this. If you're going to get upset, over, everything that people say about you, then maybe you shouldn't do this. And I was like, no, I can do it. No, I'm okay, I'm fine. And he was like, you're not fine though. Like, you're really not fine. And I process it a little bit better now, but it's literally that same like punch in the face every time. Like, and I think to myself, my mama taught me, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Didn't your mama teach you?
Yes, my mama taught me the same thing.
Yeah.
And just know that when you get those ugly comments, you're starting to make a difference. You're starting to be heard. And that's a good thing. We often wear these attacks as badges of honor. Like, okay, we must be having some effect on people.
Somebody cares enough to harass you, and that's the bottom line. When they're like, so silver lining, if you didn't matter, nobody would care, nobody would say bad things about you, nobody would take time, right? So
that's absolutely right.
I would like to touch on, is there anything that we can do? Like, are they giving you any hope it can be retrieved? Is there any way that we can help, some way, contact someone, message and say, we want Jimmy Rants back? Is there anything we can do as a community to help?
Yeah, I sent you a couple of names, and I can't remember them right offhand, but there are a couple of names at YouTube that we can contact. I don't know that it will do any good, but maybe, just maybe, if enough people write to these people and harass them, just
nicely,
maybe
nicely
reinstate his account just to shut us up. At this point, it looks like his whole channel is deleted, so I don't know if those videos can be retrieved or not.
It doesn't hurt to try, though. It doesn't hurt to try. So at the end of this, I will add, I have found a phone number that you can call. Now, when I tried to call them today, they said they're experiencing higher than normal call volumes. Shocking. And they estimate an hour's wait on hold, which I didn't have, but I do later this afternoon, and I will call them back. So I will add the phone number. They also have an address. We can snail mail them old-fashioned style. I mean, really, if 10,000 mail letters arrive in the mail, they might take notice. And if there's a couple people we can contact, I will add those and their Instagram links. So nicely, kindly suggest to them that we would love Jimmy Rants back. Throwing around hate and nasty comments helps nobody. But just message them and say, hey, I really find value in Jimmy Rants' channel and I miss it. And if there's any way you can bring it back, please do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yay.
That'd be awesome. I don't know. See, I don't even know if an actual human being took the time to look at his account. We don't know. We were never really given a solid reason as to why his channel was deleted.
And they don't. I don't think that they ever do. Facebook is kind of the same. I have issues with Facebook. I call it love-hate. I'm always in one sort of Facebook jail or another. And it took me 6 months to figure out how to contact support. 6 months of messaging back and forth with support. And the answer I got was, oh, well, that's odd. It shouldn't be like that. Hopefully it doesn't persist.
Wow.
And I was like, well, it's been a year, so I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say it's probably persistent. What do you do?
And Instagram, Jimmy's Instagram account back in November was hacked and deleted. We contacted Instagram like 6 or 7 times. Never got a response from them. And I think they're owned by the same people. Google owns YouTube and Instagram.
All of them now. All of them now. And they're buying out everything. And this is what scares me about where social media censorship is going. Mm-hmm. Because we think these things are always small things that you don't notice, and then all of a sudden, bang. Like, and it's hard not to be a conspiracy theorist, because it seems so coincidental. Like, ironically coincidental. Like, so we have a couple comments, yay, on Facebook. We have two of my favorite ladies together, and shocked that Jimmy Rants was deleted, hope it will be reinstated. It's sad how channels can be deleted. And yeah, like, I think a lot of people don't realize how much you are at the mercy of that platform, that format. When I very first started, I didn't really have my own Facebook group. There was a couple that I was member in, and you know how it is. You get excited, you decide you're going to do videos and lives, and the first, I don't know, dozen lives I did were to a Facebook group, a beginner's Facebook group that I don't own. And they decided that they liked my content, however, not me. So they kicked me out of the group, kept my videos, and I couldn't get them because they belonged to that group, not me. So it took about 3 months, and I had a couple of people even message and approach the group leader and say, like, she wasn't trying to step on your toes, she just wants her videos. And I had to have somebody go in and pull them out of there, but they weren't legally mine. And what do? It wasn't my content, it was theirs. And they could decide that they like my content, but not me in their group.
That's a shame.
So it kind of, it's like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? So let's talk about next week, because I'm so super excited. We actually get to hang out together. I did not see you at KetoCon this year. I missed you, by the way. Like, I missed you so much.
I was sick. I had plans on coming, but shortly before I came down with bronchitis, and Jimmy's like, you're not getting on a plane, to go to Austin sick. So,
no, your health always comes first. Like a million % comes first. And we're excited to have you in Canada. Like, this is one of the very first big Canadian events. So, I mean, we're behind you guys in the States, and we're struggling to catch up.
This is a start. I love it.
Every little bit. And I think that Mitch Holden, and that's a Great Canadian Keto Conference, has put together an amazing lineup, especially for a first go out. So what are you going to talk about on Saturday? I'm excited to know.
I am going to be talking about digestion. It's one of those things that, people think about. Well, they really don't think about it. When they're eating, they just get into the habit of eating, but they don't stop and think about all that goes into the process of digestion.
Yes.
And so I'm going to help educate some people on the subject.
I just noticed Jimmy's comment. He said, that's one sexy girl at the bottom. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, sexy.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. So I have to ask you a question, and I so rarely get to ask people questions on live that are personally for me, but I'm going to do it because your expertise is digestion. And I've literally never discussed this with anybody professionally because people look at me and go, that doesn't even make sense, Dori. So before my surgery and before keto, when I had all of my stomach issues, if I ate something, within 20 minutes, I had to go to the bathroom. And it was like clockwork. Like, you could set your timer by me. If I ate in 20 minutes, I needed to go to the bathroom. And I was like, there's no way that you can absorb any nutrient from food in that time. And I would say that, and people would say, no, that can't be the meal you just had. That has to be like yesterday's meal or the meal you had before. But I know what I ate, and I know what I went. And I know that everything was going through my body in 20 minutes. So when I look back now, I think, how did I even survive? There's no way. So I have to ask you, like, how would something like that even happen? Because I know it did. I know that's how my body processed.
Yeah. So was it diarrhea?
Yes, and like horribly, like the worst IBS you could imagine, like you hold the garbage can and you cry, like that.
Yeah. So that is usually a sign of some sort of food allergy or sensitivity.
Oh.
The body does that to get rid of the food as quickly as possible. So yeah, that's probably what you were dealing with.
Okay. Well, see, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I never even really knew IBS was a thing, and this sounds terrible when I say it out loud, but everybody doesn't hold the garbage can and cry when they poop?
Oh.
What? Like, for hours at a time? That's not how everybody goes to the bathroom? You're kidding, right?
Well, my dad was the same way for a while. He was, he would alternate between constipation and diarrhea, and sometimes it would be so bad that there were several times where he almost didn't make it to the bathroom in time. I mean, it was that bad.
Oh, yes.
So some of that, what I did for him was I recommended that he start taking a probiotic, and he did. And he contacts me about a month later, and he goes, "I just want to make sure, is it normal to go poop every day? I mean, when you know you're comfortable with your dad when you can talk to him about his poop." So he said, "Yeah, is it normal?" I said, "Dad, yeah." I mean, because he said, "Well, before I was going like every 3 days."
Yeah.
And then, alternating the diarrhea and constipation. And I'm like, "Dad, is normal to go every day?" That's the probiotics for you. So you might have had, it might have been a combination for you between a food allergy sensitivity and then an imbalance in your good versus bad microbiome in your gut.
Well, and that makes sense. It really does. I won't lie. I never sought medical treatment for any of these issues because I didn't realize they were issues. When I look back now at my health pre-keto and I look at the symptoms that I've had, and now that I have more knowledge and I do more lives with doctors and we talk about these things, I'm like, oh, I bet you I had PCOS too. Like, I had all the symptoms of that, the extreme weight gain. I had all of the boils, the incredibly painful and sporadic periods, the incredible mood swings, like all of the things that go along with that. And I'm like, I never asked nobody about that.
Yeah, you don't. And here's the thing, you get used to feeling a certain way and you think that's normal, but then when you switch to a ketogenic diet and these things start to heal, you're like, okay, wow, okay, maybe this is normal, maybe this is how I'm supposed to feel. So, I mean, people just go through life thinking, oh, well, I'm just getting older, or this is the way I'm supposed to feel. But no, you don't have to deal with those things.
If you're living the life I was and you're holding the garbage can, if you're so depressed every day that you can't get out of bed, if you think that that's just how life is, that's how your body processes, and some people are meant to be happy and those people aren't you, then keto might be the answer, the same way as it was for me. And maybe not for everybody, but I didn't know any of the health benefits. I didn't know any of the medical stuff behind keto. I watched one video that my girlfriend begrudgingly made me watch. I decided already I hated it before I watched it. Stupid diet guy gonna tell me like whatever. I opened it up and I was like, that's it. I don't like your face, dude. How do you like that? I don't like your face. And I wonder sometimes if that's just what Jimmy haters do, because they're like, oh yeah, diet guy, you tell me how I'm gonna be thin, because that was my attitude. And I watched that one video, and at the end of the video I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. It makes sense. In my brain, that makes sense that these are the foods I should eat. Ancestrally, it's what my people would have eaten, and that makes sense. And from that point, I was like, okay, I'm keto now. Now, I wasn't, but I was like, oh my God, I'm so keto. You don't think I'm keto? Fight me. Fight me. Fight me, I'm keto. But when I look back now, for the first 6 months, girl, I was barely, if it fits your macros, dirty keto. And I wasn't adding the fat. But I was like, oh my God, I'm so keto. I don't know if you know what keto is, but I do it and I'm awesome at it. Just in case you wanted to know, And I didn't know enough because I started with, okay, I'm gonna this keto. So I know that keto is low carb, and I started by just Googling low carb recipes. And I went with that. If I wanted something, I made a keto or a low carb version, but I never went to the science behind it until I had been keto for a while, because I am a love, passion, and fury person. And I'm like science schmience, like, hello, that's numbers and stuff, like, duh. And I just fell in love with the food. So for me, when all of these things started to change and I started to feel better, I was like, hey, I don't feel depressed. I haven't had a migraine in a really long time. I don't cry when I poo anymore. And I was like, is this the keto? Oh my God, this is the keto. And it was the extra energy, the excitement. It's almost like literally going from a cup is half empty to a cup is half full personality, just by changing what you eat. My life is no less stressful. It's probably more stressful than it was 3 years ago before I was doing all this social media stuff. But now everything is in stride. Like, I swear the house could be on fire and I'd be like, we got this. Get your shoes, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. So you talked about depression, and so serotonin is one of those hormones that help you to, it's a feel-good hormone. Dopamine is kind of, it works the same way, but serotonin, they all work together, and 90% of the serotonin production happens in your gut. So if you're eating stuff that's not good for you, that's high carb, highly processed, it's going to mess up that gut microbiome there. You're not going to produce as much serotonin. If you don't produce serotonin like you should, you're going to be deficient in melatonin, because serotonin is the precursor to melatonin. So if you're having trouble sleeping, I would look at your gut health too. So, I mean, this is just a little bit of piece of information there for people.
I'm not shocked by that. I will make an admission, and I will say yes. Everything I ate back then was garbage, and processed food. Everything I fed my family came out of a can or out of a box. I made the best homemade spaghetti out of canned sauce and cut up vegetables and meat and pasta. Hello, like chef du jour. Awesomeness. Everything I cooked for my family was processed food, because I bought into what I think a lot of us buy into, and that's, I don't have time. I don't have time to cook a healthy meal. I have 20 minutes. So that means boxed instant mashed potatoes with quick fry pork chops and some frozen vegetables on the side. And look at me, I'm the hero of the family. I made such a good, healthy meal for my family. Oh my God, I'm awesome. And everything I ate was that. After I had my surgery, I rationaled this. I eat this much. Does it matter what it is? Does it matter? I mean, really, I can only eat half of a single McDonald's cheeseburger in a meal. So does it matter if I eat a half a It's a half a cheeseburger. Don't judge me. I'm not going to get fat off of a half of a cheeseburger every day. But you know what? When I stopped losing weight from my surgery, guess what? I did start getting fat off of that half of a cheeseburger a day. And I realized, you know what? I can't eat a whole chocolate bar. But girl, I can eat one bite now. And I could eat one bite in a couple hours, and I could eat another bite, and I could still manage to eat me a whole chocolate bar in a day, even though I ate a small amount of food. And I was thinking, well, it doesn't matter. I've had the surgery. Shut up. Why are you look at how thin I'm getting. Totally thin. I'm getting thin, but I wasn't getting healthy, and I wasn't feeding my body. And what I got backwards, because I thought, if I'm only eating a little bit of food, it doesn't matter what I eat. What I realize now is I only eat a little bit of food. It really matters what I eat. Like, I think it matters more for me than the average person, because I consume maybe a quarter to a fifth of the food that they consume in a day. So it really super matters if that's good food or if it's garbage.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so I've seen with my mom, well, first of all, Jimmy's mom had surgery, gastric bypass surgery in 2004, I think it was. She initially lost a lot of weight, but she's gained it back since then because she went back to eating crap. And she's probably heavier now than she was when she had the surgery. Part of that is some health stuff that she's got going on. She's got myasthenia gravis, so she's having to take steroids every day, and you know what those do to your blood sugar, and
not good things.
So she's it's more important for her now more than ever to eat right. And then my mom had to have gastric bypass surgery due to stomach ulcers. They ended up having to take out her stomach, and now she's dealing with micronutrient deficiencies because of that surgery. So what she eats, like you said, it's even more important that she eats nutrient-dense food because she's not able to absorb everything.
And that's a mystery word for a lot of people, nutrient-dense food. I know what that means, but the average person doesn't. So can you tell us a little bit about what nutrient-dense food means and what are some of our best sources for that?
Okay, so when you talk about nutrients, you have your micronutrients, which are your vitamins and minerals.
Okay. And
so your vitamins are like your B vitamins, vitamin C, your fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. And then you have your minerals, calcium, potassium, magnesium, lithium are your micro minerals. So you have lithium, selenium, all of these things that your body needs. There are some, like your macro minerals, which you need more of, because they're in higher quantities in your body, like calcium, potassium, magnesium, and those are electrolytes as well.
Okay.
And then you have your trace minerals or your micro minerals, and those are like lithium, selenium, cobalt. You have other ones that you don't need as much of. Molybdenum is another one of those trace minerals. It's fun to say.
I wouldn't bother.
All of these. What's that?
I said I wouldn't bother. I mispronounced ghee.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So nutrient-dense foods, organ meats are going to be best.
Okay.
And we don't eat enough of those. I'm guilty of not eating enough of those. We're going to start adding some frozen liver to our diet. I took that actually when I was pregnant. Jimmy bought some liver, cut it up into small pieces, and froze it. And I would pop one or two of those, maybe one a day. And you really only need about 2 or 3 ounces of liver a week to get all that you need. It's not a lot.
So does it make a difference if you cook it? Because I like my liver in pate.
Yeah. So cooking it does reduce some of the nutrients.
Okay.
This is why slow cooking is probably a better choice, because you can also get the broth from your slow cooker and drink that. Like if you're making a stew or something like that, or if you're cooking even bone broth, drink that stuff. It's full of the nutrients. So cooking it in a slow cooker is probably the best way.
Okay.
If you're not going to eat it raw.
Okay.
I mean, and if you do eat raw liver, the quality of the sourcing matters.
Okay.
You want to get something that is from a grass-fed or pastured animal.
Okay.
Because something that's, if you were to have liver from a cow that was grain-fed, those toxins are going to be in the liver, because the liver is what filters out the toxins from our body.
Okay.
So if you get liver, it has to be, don't say has to be, but your best source is going to be from a grass-fed cow.
Okay.
Because it's going to have less toxins in there. Remember, what the animal eats is what you end up eating too. It still affects your body. Then, so your organ meats, something else that we're going to try to add is salmon roe. Very nutrient-dense. Both Jimmy and I are deficient in omega-3s, and so we don't eat enough salmon. We don't eat enough seafood. It's just not kind of our favorite. I do love salmon, but I don't eat it like I should.
Okay.
So we're going to start getting some salmon roe and add that to our diet. And then your vegetables, your dark leafy greens are going to be very rich in nutrients. You try to get as wide a variety of color of vegetables because each of those have different things in them. And it's good for variety too. I mean, it's not good to eat the same things over and over again. Jimmy is a very mono eater.
Oh,
and that's how he developed a sensitivity towards eggs. I mean, heck, we have 25 backyard chickens. We get 22 eggs a day. You can't help but eat those things every day.
Yes.
But if you do, your body kind of develops a sensitivity to it, and he had to cut those eggs out for 6 months.
Let's talk about that, because I did that to myself too, and I did not know that you could do that. So I was working on an awesome peanut butter snowball recipe, so awesome. I never even actually released it because I made myself sick, but it was so good, and I kept making up just a little batch in a bowl and eating it. And after, I don't know, a while, I felt like somebody ran me over with their car, which is how I feel when I eat off plan. I feel tired. I feel moody. I can feel my anxiety popping up. I don't understand what's going on. My brain doesn't seem to kind of function right. And I was like, but I haven't eaten anything off plan. And my son looked at me and he said, well, I've handed you that peanut butter bowl several times this week. And I was like, no, it's not peanut butter. And so I stopped that brand of peanut butter because it had a little sugar. And I was like, oh, it's definitely the sugar. So I started just making my own peanut butter out of raw peanuts and olive oil, no sweetener, made it. It still made me sick. I'm a year later. Every time I'm like, maybe I'll just try a spoon and see. Maybe now I'm okay. And every time I have a spoon of peanut butter, I feel like somebody hit me with their car.
Yeah. It's really weird, especially, so an allergy, let me clarify this. A food allergy is something it is a reaction to something that is protein based.
Okay.
So that's why you have milk, you have the peanut butter has protein in it too. But a sensitivity comes from something other than, it can be protein too, but it could be a carbohydrate. So
okay.
There's a difference there. So true allergies are only from protein-based foods.
Okay.
And so I don't know technically why the body does this, but sometimes if you eat something over and over and over again, the body starts to see it as something foreign and harmful, and so your body will react to let you know, hey, don't eat that. Give me a break from that. It could be someone that's dealing with a histamine intolerance. So some people genetically have this thing where their body can't rid their body of histamines in a timely way. So these histamine-rich foods, they build up in the body, and you start to develop symptoms of allergies like watery eyes, sniffly nose, coughing. Sometimes you'll develop rashes, headaches, and so your body's saying, hey, give me a break from these things. That's why it's good to switch it up. And two, the more variety you have, different foods are going to have different things in them that your body needs.
Yes.
And so that's why it's good to switch it up. That way you know you're getting as much nutrients as possible. Now, Jimmy does keto carnivore, and I have to admit at first I was kind of concerned about that because, typically people that do keto carnivore, they don't do the organ meats that are very nutrient dense, and so they rely on the muscle meat. And so, I mean, even a good quality ribeye has a lot of nutrients in it. It has either like in the 80s to over 100% of your daily allowances for a lot of things.
Okay.
But your organ meats are still going to have a lot of the fat-soluble vitamins in that you need. So if you're going to do keto carnivore, which I don't have a problem with doing that, especially if you have gut health issues, it's a good way to get rid of the bad bugs in there. But if you're going to do keto carnivore, then make sure you incorporate some organ meats in there. And if you're not going to if you just can't tolerate organ meats, Jimmy and I also do a freeze-dried organ complex from Paleo Valley.
Ooh, okay.
They come in little capsules, and the dosage of that is 4 capsules a day. And that's a mixture of organ meats like brain, kidney, heart, liver, all those things.
Well, and for a lot of people, that's a better way to get them.
Yeah. I'd rather you do that than not at all. You know.
Just give me 1 second, Sorry, I caught that weird. That was terrible. I started choking. Okay. As Dori chokes on her own words, so smooth. I'm like, oh goodness, I'm tearing and everything. I'm sure I had a thought to go in here. I'm sure I did. Oh my goodness. So one thing I'd like to finish up on, and then I'll let you go, because I know we promised we wouldn't take too much of your time, was I feel like a lot of us eat so many bad things pre-keto that we don't really even notice how it's affecting our body. And for me, for myself personally, it wasn't until I started changing what I was eating, I almost became a food detective. And now I know what things bother me. So when somebody is starting keto and they're going to the basics, is there anything that you would recommend for them, maybe that they avoid from the standard everybody's starter keto plan if they're worried about their gut health?
Really, that's a really good question. I know there are, when you had mentioned that you were doing, when you first started keto, you were incorporating, some things. Some people would fix pancakes with almond flour, things like that. They would substitute certain things. They would try to make a keto version of something that was bad. And for some people, those things can be a trigger, even if it is with better ingredients. So I recommend that people just start off eating whole foods. Stick to the proteins, the meats, and the vegetables, and have a source of fat. And when I talk about eating fat, I'm not talking about eating sticks of butter, that sort of thing. Fat has more than twice as many calories than carbohydrate and protein does. So it doesn't take as much fat to get to your level. And everybody's level of fat intake is going to be different. So don't ask, well, how much fat should I be eating? Don't know. I don't know. It's going to be different for everybody. So just try to get your protein sources the best quality that you can. I know that not everybody can afford grass-fed this and, free-range this, but make the best choices that you can, and your goal is to eventually get there. Have a good source of salmon, have good sources of your beef and chicken, and then it's just as simple as adding a vegetable that you like, and then adding a source of fat. We tend to try to make this a little bit more difficult than it is. So if you're starting out and you know that these dirty keto things might be a trigger for you, don't do it. Jimmy and I try to stay away from those things. Now, when we're traveling, that's a whole different ballgame. We sometimes have to rely on stuff like this. Jimmy and I love the F-bomb nut butter packets. They travel really well, especially when you're flying. Paleo Valley meat sticks, they're good. And even Jimmy and I like keto chow meal replacement things. If we're in a hurry, we'll fix some keto chow meal shakes, and they've got all the vitamins and minerals in it that you need for for that one meal.
Well, and for me, because I eat a small amount, I like to use my keto chow shakes as bases for things like treats.
Yeah.
Like I'll make gummy candies out of them. So I have, that sensation of having a treat, but it's not really a treat and it's definitely not a cheat. Or I make like cheesecakes out of them, or, I'll do an egg loaf. But for me, I incorporate them into my meals because of the small amount I eat. Then I know I'm getting that extra dense nutrient that I really need.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point with making those gummies. Jimmy and I, when you're first starting out, make sure that you are salting your food.
Yes.
Because you're going to dump glycogen, and the glycogen is stored in your muscles. You're also that's stored in water. So you're going to be dumping a lot of fluid. Oftentimes that will lead to an electrolyte imbalance.
Yes.
So if you want to salt your food, don't be afraid of salt. Little tidbit about salt. So let's just say you have normal blood pressure of 120/80.
Okay.
It takes 7.5 grams of salt to raise your blood pressure 6 or 7 points, and even then you're still considered in the normal range. This is for somebody that is not salt sensitive. There is a small segment of the population that is salt sensitive.
Okay. You
need to always try to follow your doctor's advice of that. But for most people, salt is not an issue.
Okay.
7.5 grams of salt is a lot of salt.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever eat that in a day.
Yeah, exactly. And
without
also,
a spoon.
If you find that you start to have leg cramps, this is another sign of an electrolyte imbalance. You feel your eyes starting to twitch, or you get heart palpitations. That's often a sign of a magnesium deficiency. So there are good electrolyte supplements out there that are already well formulated. Jimmy and I use a couple different ones. Jigsaw Health has an electrolyte supreme thing that comes in little packets, and we find that if we start to have the leg cramps or whatever, we'll put it in a bottle of water, shake it up, and drink it. There is another brand, Keto Vitals, I believe is the name of that, and we actually make electrolyte gummies out of these things. So we'll get the collagen, and that's good for you too. So we'll get the collagen, we'll mix it with the electrolytes, cook it on the stovetop, put it in little gummy molds, and then we'll stick it in the refrigerator, and then anytime we want something like that, we'll just pop an electrolyte gummy.
I'm going to leave you with my funny gummy story. When I first started making my electrolyte gummies, and I add the keto chow drops to them, I find they're perfect. I went to my local health store and I said, I need a bag of gelatin, and she handed me a bag. It said beef fed. I was like, awesome, great. It was like a $30 bag. I walked out of there. I was so excited. I came home, I made gummies, and I'm like, why aren't my gummies gummying? Why aren't my gummies gummying? I don't understand. And what she sold me was a bag of collagen. And I was like, well, no wonder my gummies don't gummy. So now I add collagen to my gummies. Because I literally paid $40 for this bag of what I thought was gelatin. And I'm like, what is collagen even good for? So I want you to tell me, what's collagen even good for?
It's good for your joints, the tendons and the ligaments. It's good for your nails, your hair, even your skin. So you do need both gelatin and collagen in the gummies from work. So
well, I like that then. We could be friends. Well, thank you so much for your time, honey. I cannot wait to hang out with you. I don't get until late Friday night. I'm sure you guys will already be in bed. But setup starts at 5 a.m. So Dori will be up at stupid o'clock and ready to hug people. So
yeah, you and Jimmy are up at stupid o'clock all the time.
Oh, well, and you're 2 hours ahead of me. So I wake up and I feel like I'm so far behind the world. Like, I woke up this morning to the shock of the post of Jimmy's channel, and I'm messaging people. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And they're like, I've known for hours. Where have you been? Sleeping?
I know, we're not all on the same time here.
Sleeping, I'm the latest waker. I get up at 8 a.m., which is 10 a.m. your time. Like, by the time I'm up, the people who've been up since 5, they've been at it for like 4 or 5 hours already.
Pretty much.
Plug along no matter what time you start your day. That's all I can say, because somebody's always going to be ahead of or behind you. If you focus on you, you won't trip on other people.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much for your time, honey. I can't wait to hang out. Have an amazing day.
Too.
And you keep us posted. If there's anything we can do and any way that we can help, you let me know and I will share with my people. I don't know if we can get his channel back, but it doesn't hurt to try.
Right.
So let's college try. Love you, hon. Have a great day.
All right. Bye, sweetie.
Bye. Okay, so normally we would turn on some music and dance a little, but two things. One, my dog is whining. Did you hear me throw the pencil at her? It didn't make her stop. She's still doing it. And also, my phone is about to die. So I'm going to sign out. I'm going to say thanks for hanging out with us today. And I can't wait to meet you in Toronto at Great Canadian Keto Conference. And if you're not coming live, still watch the content online, because I have so many giveaways in store for you and so many fun things and people to meet. So stay tuned. It's going to be a wild ride. Tomorrow is hair did day. Who wants to come with me to get my hair did? It's going to be fun. We're getting a new sassy cut. We're getting a perk up of the color. And we're going to be our most colorful for Toronto. So have an awesome day, guys. If I have a chance, I might pop in later and do either Q&A or cooking, but I don't know. It's a pretty hectic week. So I'll see you guys later. Have an awesome day. Bye, darlings.